like clock. I can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop.
Imagine thinking the Jougan is canon. This right here is actually a very popular statement. Well, I won't say popular, but this is actually growing a lot of steam in regards to the actual community who actually do believe that the Jougan may not actually be canon. In my personal opinion, I think it's more of a lot of people kind of get mad that the Jougan isn't necessarily appearing that much into the Boruto manga, so they're kind of memeing on it. But I think the Jougan is 100% a canon thing. I even think that the Jougan actually did make an appearance in the Boruto manga. Specifically, it was with the actual Otsutsuki god. Now, I don't necessarily want to say it's for sure that it is the Jougan, but it looks really similar to the Jougan. If you guys do see, it's like the black scar, the white eye appear and everything like that. But regardless, I think that Boruto actually having the Jougan appear into the manga, it's probably not necessarily going to happen until we actually do get to see, like, let's say something very significant. The reason why I don't necessarily think it's going to appear as of right now is because the Jougan is built up to be like a more of an end game type of thing. The Jougan, specifically for Toneri specifically said that the Jougan was going to be the quote-unquote star of hope for the invaders that do come to Earth. Now, obviously, the invaders that he were talking about wasn't necessarily Momoshiki, Kinshiki, and Urashiki Otsutsuki. I could dive a lot deeper into that idea, but Toneri was essentially alluding to other people that's probably going to come later on into the story, where the Jougan is going to eventually be the star of hope. And I think once we do actually get into the further timelines, or potentially even through the time skip, or even right before the time skip, I think then we could potentially see the Jougan. Again, I've always thought the Jougan was completely end game. It's going to be what essentially separates Boruto from Kawaki, and it's not necessarily going to essentially make an appearance as of right now, or in any, let's say, significant fashion. I'm not necessarily going to say the Jougan is flat out not going to make an appearance, but I think for there to be any substantial development with the Jougan, just my personal opinion, it's probably going to need to actually happen either right before the time skip, during the time skip, or even after the time skip. Watch the Jougan pops up in the next chapter and I just seem completely crazy about this take, but that's my personal opinion. Again, I think the Jougan is 100% canon. Now, next comment comes from Kelvin Michael. He says, why aren't we talking about Mitsuki's comments about he don't know what he will do to anyone who try to kill Boruto? The problem with Mitsuki is that Mitsuki isn't necessarily strong enough for us to actually care about what Mitsuki wants to say. And of course, this right here is extremely, like, terrible to say, but let's keep it 1,000. Hypothetically, if Mitsuki finds out that Kawaki actually tried to kill Boruto, what logistically is Mitsuki actually going to do to a character like Kawaki, who was arguably the strongest character in the Hidden Leaf Village, or from the Hidden Leaf Village right now? Especially hypothetically, if Mitsuki was as strong as, like, let's say a Kawaki, no one would accept Mitsuki trying to actually kill Kawaki. It'd be like, you're killing one of our strongest defenses. It just wouldn't make that much sense. And not only that, it's not necessarily like Kawaki legitimately tried to kill Boruto. So I think a lot of people aren't necessarily putting a lot of stock into Mitsuki's comments, because we just don't necessarily see Mitsuki legitimately fighting against Kawaki. Now, I definitely do want to point out, it's a possibility that Mitsuki eventually gets like a power-up, especially because Mitsuki is like a synthetic human being, and of course implanting scientific technology into a synthetic human being is significantly easier than implanting scientific technology into an actual human being. So of course, could he get a power-up? I definitely see it. I actually think that it's more likely that he becomes quote-unquote god level than a character like Sarada, but until he gets there, the things that come out of his mouth isn't necessarily going to be that important. Now, here's the thing. I think that there could possibly be backlash against Kawaki if the information actually does get out. And I think that right there is probably going to be like the biggest thing. Mitsuki's not necessarily the only person that feels like this. If anybody tries to attack Boruto, they're probably going to kill him. Remind you guys, Boruto is the son of the Hokage. He already has established clout because of that. Not only that, Boruto saved the planet, or saved the Hidden Leaf Village from Ishiki Otsutsuki. He literally went on the news, had an interview about this and everything. People automatically love Boruto. So if anybody finds out that Kawaki legitimately tried to kill Boruto, Kawaki's probably going to get a lot more backlash than he's getting right now, especially since Kawaki's already in hot water because he's this unknown guy that came out of nowhere and people legitimately seeing him try to attack Naruto. The next comment comes from Neos. He says, initially I thought she was going to join, but Eida wants Amato dead, and that's not going to happen if she joins. Also, Kawaki acting kind of sus. Think he is disappointed Boruto is not dead. Alright, so this right here is an impeccable comment. And I kind of talked about both these parts on my podcast recently, but I'll just restate it. If Eida essentially says, hey, I want to join the Hidden Leaf Village, but I have to be allowed to kill Amato, would that be a fair trade for Naruto to actually go for? One of the things that we do on, well, first things first, Shikamaru would absolutely take that trade because I think that Shikamaru hates Amato as of right now. But regardless, I think that Naruto wouldn't necessarily be completely down for that. But if there was another Hokage in place, like let's say hypothetically, if even like let's say the third Hokage, let's not even go to like the second Hokage, the third Hokage, or even let's say Kakashi was in charge, it would definitely be a very difficult decision because getting Eida on your side and the actual conflict as of right now, but also you get a huge, I mean an absolutely huge piece that you could add to your actual arsenal, your military and everything like that going forward. Like hypothetically in the future, you get attacked by some Otsutsuki members and you have Damon on your side. As of right now, he has the strongest defense in the entire series. That would be extremely significant. And not only that, Eida would be extremely helpful to the Hidden Leaf Village just because of her clairvoyant abilities. Literally no one can conspire against the Hidden Leaf Village out in the open. It would all have to be communication via telekinesis, and we all understand that's going to be very difficult, especially if hypothetically people are now trying to use sneak attacks against the Hidden Leaf Village. The thing about Amato though, even though no one really likes him, Amato is extremely helpful in actually building cyborgs similar to Eida. Amato literally built Eida. Now we don't necessarily know if he's going to be building cyborgs like that into the future. Hopefully he will, but hypothetically if you destroy Amato, you're completely closing the door to all those possibilities. Like for example, in the next chapter, if Amato does say that I'm building a cyborg very similar to Eida and Damon but significantly more powerful, I wouldn't be surprised at all. And that right there, the potential of Amato building more cyborgs to be on the side of the Hidden Leaf Village stronger than Eida and Damon, that seems to be a very difficult thing to let go of. Now here's the key thing. Sumire has been learning under Amato for the past, I don't know, a couple months now. If Sumire has even a scintilla, if Sumire even has an idea of how to build cyborgs with that level of sophistication, that could potentially make Amato, let's say, dispensable because Sumire could replicate a lot of things that Amato can actually do. Now, this is just assuming that Sumire knows what she's doing. Of course, we already have a character like Katasuki who's like a watered down version of Amato. But if Sumire could potentially be better than Orochimaru, that right there would then make us think like, hey, maybe we should probably take Eida up on that offer and just let Eida destroy my guy Amato. Shikamaru probably wants to do either way. They might take turns punching out Amato. But the next thing my guy says, he says also Kawaki acting kind of sus, think he's disappointed that Boruto is not dead. This right here is like very interesting. My original thought about Kawaki looking like this was Kawaki understanding that there's danger around the corner. Kawaki may have actually sensed Boruto going full speed, because if you guys do recall, during that actual scene, Sasuke and Boruto, they're literally heading towards the place where Eida and Code are. It's very possible that Kawaki is sensing that, because in the past, Boruto was shown to be able to sense Kawaki as well. Of course, because their karma seals were kind of quote unquote resonating off each other, even though at that particular time, Kawaki didn't necessarily have any karma seal, kind of quote unquote, he still did have the karma seal. But that right there gave me the idea that he senses Boruto is on the quote unquote run and there might be danger ahead. Not only that, simultaneously while he's sensing Boruto on the run, Naruto is tensing up because he's on like a telekinesis call with Ino. But if there is a situation where Kawaki is tensing up because he understands that Boruto is still alive, I don't necessarily think it would be any sort of evil or malicious intent. I think it would essentially be like fear, or essentially be like regret, or not even regret. It would essentially be like disappointed. Well, as you said, he's disappointed just because of the sheer fact that Boruto was still alive. One of the things that Kawaki hated the most was actually being forced to kill someone that he actually did love, which is Boruto. Boruto still being alive essentially means that there's still a possibility, or outside possibility, that Kawaki has to do that same thing again. Kawaki has to do or relive that same nightmare again and again and again until Boruto is legitimately dead. The threat would probably be no more. So that right there could possibly be why, but I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. It's me, your boy Baara B, and we out.
It's a knife.